January can be a reflective moment for a lot of people. And I can definitely say even for myself. And that's because when we look back to the previous year, we think about what have we done? Did we reach our goal? Do I need to take a pivot? Am I doing exactly what I want? Are the people in my life, are they giving to me? Am I living on purpose? How much energy am I giving? And also, what kind of energy am I receiving? And so when we go into 2026, we want to be a little bit more picky about the things we do and the things we put ourselves into. What's up, family? I am your host, Angel Rios, founder of The Rally Cry, creator of Enough Said. And you guys are here because we're going to talk about ways to self-improve, talk about ways that we can live on purpose, and talk about ways that we can actually build meaningful connections with ourselves and also the people that are around us. One of the things I think about for 2026 is the kind of intention that we set forward, the kind of mindset I give myself. And I'm sure you guys have heard being intentional, but no one ever talks about what do you mean by being intentional? And with that word intention, we want to also keep in mind that in the same word, it says intention, meaning that there is a pressure that we put upon ourselves when we're being intentional. Because every time when we make a decision, we want to be intentional about the thing that we're doing. But it puts so much pressure on us because we're trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We want to make sure that it doesn't steer us wrong, that we're going exactly where we want to go because we don't want to waste any time. And for the longest time, I've always given myself this perspective. But one thing I realized is that intentional, although it's great, you don't always want to be intentional. And let me explain by that. What I mean is that at most of the times, you just want to be yourself, express yourself, be who you are, be unapologetic. 2026, I'm coming into this year feeling unapologetic, that I should be who I am, that people should see me for who I am. And I found this out with working with my clients, being with my family members, being with my significant other, and even people that I'm working with. Because so many times when we're building relationships and we want to find that circle of people, I like to say that line of people, we're always having this figment of imagination of the kind of person we want to be around. If that is significant other, if that is a family member, or even if that is that one person that you're working with. And what happens is there's so much expectation when we do that. And so going back to yourself, although you're being intentional with everything that you put forward, sometimes you should just be. Sometimes when you get that feeling, you should just express yourself. Because I find myself, if I'm driving, how many times you're trying to get to work, you're trying to get to this location, and someone cuts you off. And then you build this feeling of being frustrated because, sometimes people just can't drive. And you start ruminating about what other people are doing, that it builds this whole triple effect of how you feel. And in that moment, you want to be like, oh, let me have some composure. Let me hold it in. Let me not let it get to me. But sometimes you should just express it. You should just be like, dang, people don't know how to drive. Dang, people be people, right? It's important to express yourself because when you bottle it all in, it's going to come out in a different way. It might not come out in that situation. It might come out in a different situation. So every so often, you want to just be. Because although your intention is to hold composure, although your intention is to be patient, although your intention is to make sure that you give yourself time and space, sometimes in that moment, the intentionality is just to be, just to express yourself. And when it comes to talking about things like this. I find that it's a personal experience. That some of the perspective that I explain is something that I had to see within myself. That I find it very important to share this kind of perspective because we are always longing for that connection, for that one thing, for that one person. If it's what we do or who we are around, so we can feel more fulfilled. And so forever, we're always trying to do something that makes us feel like we belong somewhere. And a lot of it is what we do. A lot of it is about who we're around. And when it comes to 2026, it's great to be intentional, but it's very important to just be, to express yourself through that. Because when you be intentional, you put an expectation of how you're supposed to be because of the intention that you put in. But it puts so much pressure on you. It puts so much expectation. It doesn't allow you to be for who you are, but for who you want to be. But rather than switching for who you want to be, but rather who you want to be, not what you want to be. And it's always about the small details, about how we look at things. The perspective that we give ourselves allows us to be who we are. And it's one of those moments when you want to start figuring things out for yourself of who am I and what am I doing? And for what I do, it's an extension for who I am. And that is if you have a business, that is for your love life, that is just for who you are as a person. Because at the end of it all, we're all doing something that is along the lines of bringing service to others. That the thing that you give and serve is a purpose. Even if it's something that is not aligned with you, you want to ask yourself, is this something that I want to keep on doing? Is this an action that I want to keep on doing? Is this a feeling that I want to keep feeling? And if for some reason, if that's a no, you want to start thinking about what is that one thing that I keep on doing? Or what is that one thing that I keep on feeling that I no longer want to feel, that I no longer want to do? Because when we keep doing the same thing, one of my favorite quotes I heard is, if you do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And so we forever keep going in this cycle. We always go into the new year and talk about what we didn't want, what we have accomplished, and what we're willing to do. And the will is the knowledge that you have for yourself of what it would take for me to be this person, for who I want to be, not for what I want to be. Because you're not just a subject. You're not just anything. You're someone that comes into this world that is given a purpose. And I was watching a podcast, and this kind of reminds me about, it was Mel Robbins that has said on a study about we were never designed to know what we look like, to be able to look ourselves in the mirror, because our human nature is designed to connect with others. And to be able to do that, I realized that it's about how you see yourself, how you feel for yourself, and how you feel for yourself allows you to connect with someone else that also can see you the same or even better. That you want to be around people that reminds you of who you are, who you're becoming, not for what you are or what you provide. Because when you're around energy that only sees you for what you are, then people don't actually value you for who you are. And so that's the biggest thing that you want to have for 2026, that you want to be mindful of who you are, not for what you are. Because what you do is just what you do. And to be mindful that, yes, your actions play a part and it's an extension of yourself. But to give yourself grace, just be. And allow for things to come to you and not always put up a expectation, because it doesn't allow you to just live in the moment, because you're always thinking about what is it that I need to do, which is always great, but there's always a fine line for everything. So 2026, it's a big mindset that we're going to keep on moving forward about, I'm going to be who I am. And for who I am, I'm going to continue being a better version of myself as much as I want myself to be, because all it is to be. And when I'm allowing myself to be, I don't need to worry about the intention, the expectation, essentially, of what it is that I gotta do so I can be accepted, so that I can be valued. Because when you could just be yourself, that in itself is enough. So don't let anybody make you feel like you're not enough, because you're more than enough as much as you see yourself. So one thing I want you guys to do is look in the mirror and talk to yourself about all the things that you've accomplished, all the things you're willing to do, and as much as the things that you're willing to understand for yourself. Because when you can do that one thing, everything will become unstoppable, because you're capable of everything that you have faith in, not believe. Because believing is doubting and faith is understanding. So I have faith in you, and 2026 is going to be a good year. I hope you guys got something from this episode. If you did, please make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment on your favorite podcast platform, and we're going to keep making every day great. Until next time, you guys be easy. Peace.